I sat alone in my apartment staring at my phone. 27 missed calls from my mother lit up the screen. I still could not believe what she had proposed during our last conversation. 3 years with Sophia down the drain because she cheated with my brother Jake, and now they were getting married. But the real kicker, my mother wanted me to be the best man. When she suggested it, I laughed. Not a happy laugh. The kind that comes when your pain transforms into something unrecognizable. Before I dive into this family disaster, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from. Hit that subscribe button if you have ever had family put you in an impossible situation. Trust me, this gets wild. My life before everything fell apart was pretty solid. At 28, I had established myself as a software engineer for a growing tech company in Boston. The hours were long, but the pay was good, and I had finally reached a place where I felt confident about my future. That future included Sophia, my girlfriend of 3 years. She was smart, ambitious, and I thought we were on the same page about everything. We had moved in together the previous year, and I had started looking at engagement rings. I even had a plan to propose during our upcoming vacation to Maine, where we first met during a friend's beach party. My relationship with Jake had always been close growing up. Being only 3 years apart, we shared a bedroom until I left for college. We played on the same baseball teams, built elaborate forts in the backyard, and stood up for each other when kids at school tried to cause trouble. Even after I moved out, we maintained that bond. When Jake struggled to find his career path after dropping out of community college, I helped him land an entry-level position at a marketing firm through a college friend. That was where he met Sophia at the company holiday party I brought her to. They seemed to hit it off as friends, which I was happy about at the time. The first signs that something was off appeared about 4 months before everything blew up. Sophia became increasingly distant, often working late or going out with colleagues I had never met. When we were together, she was constantly checking her phone, turning it away when I would walk by. Jake started making excuses to cancel our regular basketball games, and when we did hang out, the conversations felt forced. He would ask strange questions about my relationship with Sophia, like whether we were having problems or if I ever thought about dating other people. The night that changed everything still plays in my mind with painful clarity. I had been on a 3-day business trip to Chicago that got cut short when our client canceled the final day of meetings. I decided to surprise Sophia by coming home a day early. I picked up her favorite takeout from the Thai place around the corner and quietly let myself into our apartment around 7:30 in the evening. The living room was empty, but I heard muffled voices coming from our bedroom. I stood frozen in the hallway, the food growing cold in my hands as I recognized my brother's voice, mixed with Sophia's laughter. "We should just tell him," Jake was saying. "I hate sneaking around like this." "Soon," Sophia replied. "I just need to figure out the right way to end things." I pushed the door open. The image of them together in our bed is seared into my memory. The look of shock on their faces when they saw me standing there, not supposed to be home until tomorrow, holding Thai food and staring at them with disbelief. Corbett Sophia scrambled to pull the sheets up. This is not what it looks like. But it was exactly what it looked like. The confrontation that followed was ugly. Words were shouted that could never be taken back. "We did not mean for it to happen." Sophia cried, her mascara running down her cheeks. "It just did. We connected on a deeper level, Corbett. Something I never felt with you." That hurt, but not as much as Jake's response when I asked how long this had been going on. "A few months," he admitted, not meeting my eyes as he hastily pulled on his clothes. "I am sorry you found out this way, bro. We were going to tell you." I left that night with just a duffel bag of essentials. I could not stand to be in the same room as either of them for another minute. I crashed at my friend Marcus's place until I found my own apartment, and I left almost everything behind. I blocked both their numbers and removed myself from all social media for 6 months. I focused on healing, threw myself into work, and started seeing a therapist who specialized in betrayal trauma. The first time I saw them again was at Christmas dinner at my parents' house. My mother had begged me to come, promising that the kids, referring to Jake and Sophia like they were already married, would only be stopping by briefly. That brief visit turned into a 3-hour ordeal where everyone tiptoed around the elephant in the room while my mother kept trying to force normalcy. "Pass the potatoes to your brother," she would say. Or, remember when you boys used to fight over the last slice of pie, as if we were still 10 years old, and the worst thing Jake had ever done was break my science project. For the next few months, I focused on rebuilding my life. I earned a promotion at work, settled into my new apartment, and even went on a few casual dates. Nothing serious, but steps in the right direction. I maintained minimal contact with my family, mostly check-in calls with my dad, who at least had the decency to never mention Jake or Sophia. Then came the social media announcement that felt like a punch to the gut. A close-up photo of Sophia's hand with an engagement ring, Jake smiling beside her. The caption read, "She said yes. Cannot wait to spend forever with my soulmate." The comments section was full of congratulations, including one from my own mother. "So happy for you both. Welcome to the family officially, Sophia." My mother's call came within minutes of the engagement announcement going live. I let it go to voicemail, but she kept calling until I finally answered. "Did you see the wonderful news?" she gushed, not even bothering with a hello. "Your brother is engaged. Is not that exciting?" I remained silent, wondering if she was genuinely oblivious or deliberately cruel. "I know there has been some unpleasantness." She continued, her voice taking on that dismissive tone she used whenever addressing the affair. "But this is a chance for everyone to move forward. They are going to have a spring wedding at the country club." "Mom," I finally interrupted, "I am happy you are excited, but I cannot share that feeling. I wish them well, but I need you to respect my boundaries here." She sighed dramatically. "Boundaries. Boundaries. Your therapist has filled your head with all this boundary nonsense. We are family, Corbett. Family forgives." I ended the call as politely as I could, but her words stayed with me. Was I being unreasonable? Should I just get over it like everyone seemed to expect? I managed to avoid Jake and Sophia for another few weeks until my mother invited me to dinner, promising it would just be my parents and me. I should have known better. When I arrived, Jake and Sophia were already seated at the table, Sophia wearing her engagement ring like a trophy. The tension during that dinner was suffocating. My father barely spoke, focusing intently on cutting his steak into increasingly smaller pieces. My mother fluttered around refilling wine glasses and chattering about wedding plans as if we were the happiest family in Massachusetts. Jake kept trying to engage me in conversation about work and sports, his voice overly cheerful. "The Patriots are looking solid this season. We should catch a game together sometime," he suggested, as if the last time I had seen him had not been in my bed with my girlfriend. Sophia was worse, acting like we were old friends catching up. "I heard from Linda that you got that big promotion." "That is so wonderful, Corbett. You always worked so hard." Her smile never reached her eyes, which kept darting nervously to Jake as if seeking approval. I excused myself early, claiming a work emergency. As I was leaving, Jake followed me to the door. "It has been almost a year," he said quietly. "We should move past this, for Mom and Dad's sake, if nothing else." I looked at him, my brother, my former best friend, and felt nothing but a hollow ache. "Congratulations on your engagement," I said flatly, and walked out. The pressure only increased after that dinner. Extended family members I rarely spoke with suddenly felt entitled to text me their opinions. "Family is everything. Life is too short for grudges. Your brother made a mistake, but they are in love." Through it all, my friend Marcus remained my strongest support. "They betrayed you, and now they want to dictate how you should feel about it," he said during one of our regular basketball sessions. "That is not how this works. You get to decide what role, if any, they play in your life now." My therapist echoed similar sentiments. "Forgiveness is for you, not for them," she reminded me during a particularly difficult session. "And forgiveness does not mean you have to have them in your life if that causes you pain." Boundaries are healthy. The wedding invitation arrived on a Tuesday, an expensive cream-colored envelope with calligraphy addressing. Inside, their names were intertwined in an ornate script that made my stomach turn. The RSVP card had a spot to check joyfully accept or regretfully decline. I set it aside, unable to check either box truthfully. My mother's calls increased daily after the invitation was sent. "Did you get the invitation?" It is at the country club. You know how hard those are to book? The flowers will be peonies and roses, Sophia's favorites. Have you thought about what you will wear? A navy suit would look so handsome in the photos. She strategically avoided mentioning the role she wanted me to play until she was sure I would attend. Meanwhile, other family members continued taking sides. My cousin Rachel, who had always been close to me, called to say she understood if I skipped the wedding entirely. What they did was messed up. Nobody would blame you for not going. My Aunt Linda, on the other hand, told me I was being childish and needed to man up and support your brother's happiness. When the bachelor party plans started circulating, my older brother David reached out with an awkward invitation. It is going to be a weekend in Vermont. Skiing, drinks, the usual stuff. Jake wants you there, but understands if it is too weird. The conflict between anger, betrayal, and ingrained family loyalty was eating me alive. After weeks of agonizing, I decided to call Jake directly. Our first real conversation since I had caught them together. I need to understand something, I said when he answered, skipping any pleasantries. You could have dated anyone. Why her? Why my girlfriend? His answer only made everything worse. It was not planned, he said defensively. We started talking more when you were working late all those nights on the Anderson project. She was lonely, Corbett. She felt neglected. One thing led to another. So it was my fault for working hard at my career, for the project that earned me the promotion that was paying for the ring I had planned to give her. The conversation devolved from there, revealing that their affair had started much earlier than the few months they had initially claimed. I was still processing this new information when my mother showed up, unannounced, at my apartment that weekend, a binder of wedding plans tucked under her arm. We need to talk about the wedding, my mother announced, brushing past me into my apartment without waiting for an invitation. She set her wedding binder on my coffee table and fixed me with a determined look. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache forming. There is nothing to talk about, Mom. I have not decided if I am even going yet. Of course you are going, she said dismissively, as if my attendance was never in question. But that is not why I am here. She took a deep breath, smiled, and delivered the most outrageous request I had ever heard. Your brother wants you to be his best man. I stared at her for a long moment, waiting for the punchline. When it didn't come, a laugh escaped me, a genuine, incredulous laugh of disbelief. You cannot be serious. I managed between shocked laughs. My mother's expression hardened. I am absolutely serious. This is not a joke, Corbett. This is about healing our family. My laughter died as quickly as it had erupted, replaced by a surge of anger. Healing our family. They destroyed our family when they betrayed me. And now you want me to stand next to them and give a toast about their love story. Are you out of your mind? Do not speak to me that way, she snapped. I am still your mother. And yes, mistakes were made, but it has been over a year. Jake is your brother. Blood is thicker than water. Stop with the cliches, Mom. This is not about forgiveness anymore. This is about respect. They have shown me none. And now you are asking me to celebrate their relationship that began by cheating on me. What happened next shattered what remaining trust I had in my family. In her frustration, my mother revealed something she had never meant to share. Well, maybe if you had paid more attention to her instead of always working, this would not have happened. Sophia confided in me months before you found out. She was lonely. The room went silent. You knew, I whispered. You knew they were having an affair before I caught them, and you did not tell me. She backpedaled immediately, realizing her mistake. I did not know exactly. She just mentioned they had grown close, that she was confused about her feelings. I thought it would blow over. The double betrayal hit me like a physical blow. Not just my brother and ex-girlfriend, but my own mother had kept their secret. They are truly in love. Corbett, she continued, oblivious to how each word twisted the knife deeper. You need to accept that. Sometimes relationships end, so better ones can begin. Get out, I said quietly. Excuse me. Get out of my apartment. My voice remained steady despite the storm raging inside me. And tell Jake to find another best man. Her face flushed with anger. If you cannot do this one thing for your brother, for this family, then maybe you need to reconsider what family means to you. Your father and I have always supported you both equally, but this selfish attitude is disappointing. Selfish. I finally exploded, unleashing everything I had been holding back. I worked 60-hour weeks to build a future with Sophia, while Jake was sleeping with her behind my back. I have kept quiet at family gatherings, endured the pathetic attempts at normalcy, and never once asked anyone to choose sides. And I am selfish. My mother left in tears, calling me heartless as she slammed the door. Within hours, my phone was flooded with messages from family members who had heard her version of events, that I had cruelly laughed in her face and refused to support my brother's happiness. Jake called that evening furious. What the hell, Corbett mom is devastated. She was just trying to help. Did she tell you what she admitted to me? That she knew about you and Sophia before I did. That she kept your secret. His momentary silence confirmed it. That is not how it happened, he said, finally his voice less certain. Sophia's message came next. A masterpiece of manipulation. I thought after all this time we could all be mature about this situation. Jake really wants you there. As his best man. I would never have asked, but he believes in your relationship. Please do not disappoint him because of your feelings about me. I felt like I was losing my mind. Somehow I had become the villain in their story, the bitter ex who couldn't move on the selfish brother who wouldn't participate in the wedding. The gaslighting was so complete that for a moment I wondered if I was overreacting. That night alone in my apartment, with my family's accusations ringing in my ears, I hit rock bottom. 3 a.m. found me sitting on my kitchen floor, a glass of whiskey in hand, wondering if there was something wrong with me for not being able to just get over it like everyone seemed to expect. My phone rang. My grandfather, my dad's father, calling at an hour when only emergency calls are expected. Gramps, is everything okay? I answered immediately, concerned. I heard what happened with your mother today. His gravelly voice came through. At 82, he rarely got involved in family drama, but when he did, people listened. I wanted you to know I am on your side, son. For the next hour, he offered a perspective no one else had. Validation that my feelings were reasonable, that betrayal by those closest to you leaves scars that do not heal on a convenient timeline for others, and that I had every right to protect myself. Your grandmother and I were married 57 years, he reminded me. You know why respect. Without respect, love means nothing. After we hung up, I found myself searching through old emails, looking for something specific. I found it in my archived folder, messages between Jake and me from the period when he claimed their affair had just begun. One particular exchange caught my eye. Jake asking if I could cover his portion of our parents' anniversary gift because he had unexpected expenses that month. Those expenses, I now recalled, included a weekend trip he had supposedly taken with work friends. The dates aligned perfectly with a weekend Sophia had gone to visit her sister 14 months ago, not the few months they had claimed. More digging revealed more lies. Photos on a mutual friend's social media showed Jake and Sophia at a concert together when both had told me they were elsewhere. Text messages where Sophia had made excuses to cancel our date nights that coincided with times Jake was supposedly out of town. The affair hadn't been a brief lapse in judgment or a recent development when I caught them. It had been a calculated, ongoing deception for over a year, nearly a third of my entire relationship with Sophia. And they had been systematically lying not just to me, but to our entire family about the timeline and circumstances. The evidence I uncovered changed everything. I was done being the villain in their narrative, done accepting blame for a betrayal that ran deeper than I had realized. It was time to reclaim my story and stand up for myself. I spent the next morning creating a detailed plan. First, I backed up all the evidence, emails, texts, social media posts with timestamps, showing the true timeline of Jake and Sophia's affair and their deliberate deception. Then I drafted careful messages to key family members who needed to hear my side before the situation deteriorated further. I started with my father, who had remained mostly silent throughout the ordeal. His response was brief but meaningful. I suspected as much. Come for lunch tomorrow. Just us. Over the next week, I reached out individually to family members who had been fed my mother's version of events. Not to turn them against Jake and Sophia, but to calmly present facts and explain why being the best man was not something a reasonable person would expect of me. Many were surprised by the extent of the deception and offered apologies for their earlier messages. My cousin Rachel helped coordinate a small group of friends who would attend the upcoming family dinner with me, the annual spring gathering that traditionally happened at my parents' house. I would not face this alone. "I am not going to cause a scene," I explained to Marcus and Rachel as we drove to my parents' house. "But I am done pretending everything is okay when it is not." My mother's eyes widened when she opened the door and saw I had brought reinforcements. Jake and Sophia were already there, as were various aunts, uncles, and cousins. The atmosphere was tense as everyone found their seats around the extended dining table. Dinner conversation remained superficial until my mother inevitably brought up the wedding. "We still need to finalize the seating chart," she said pointedly in my direction. "Some people have not RSVP'd yet." I set down my fork and took a deep breath. "Actually, I wanted to talk about that. I have given it a lot of thought, and I will attend the wedding." My mother's face lit up. "Oh, Corbett, that is wonderful. And about being the best man, I will not be the best man." I continued firmly. "I will attend as a guest to support our parents, but that is all I can offer." Jake started to protest, but I held up my hand. "Let me finish. I have discovered some things that everyone here should know before making judgments about my choices." The next 10 minutes were uncomfortable but necessary as I calmly presented the evidence of their year-long affair and the extensive lies they had told everyone about how and when their relationship began. "So you see, I concluded this wasn't a case of two people unexpectedly falling in love. This was a calculated betrayal that went on for over a year while I was completely in the dark. They lied to all of you about the timeline, and Mom knew at least part of it before I did." The silence around the table was deafening. Sophia stared at her plate, unable to meet anyone's eyes. Jake's face had drained of color. My mother looked stricken. "Is this true, my father?" asked, turning to Jake. "A year, while you were still coming to family dinners with your brother, while he was talking about proposing." Jake could not deny the evidence. "We made mistakes," he said weakly, "but our feelings for each other are real." "Your feelings do not justify your actions," I said, my voice steady. "I am not here to stop your wedding or turn the family against you. I just want the truth acknowledged so I can stop being painted as the unreasonable one for not wanting to stand beside you at the altar." To my surprise, support came from unexpected quarters. My Aunt Linda, who had called me childish weeks earlier, reached over and squeezed my hand. "I owe you an apology, Corbett. I had no idea it was like this." Even my father, who had tried to stay neutral throughout, finally spoke up. "No son should be expected to be best man in these circumstances. I would not have asked it of you, and your mother should not have either." My mother, confronted with the full truth and the family's shifting perspective, finally dropped the facade. "I just wanted to fix everything," she said tearfully. "I wanted our family to be whole again." Pushing me to ignore my pain does not fix anything, I told her gently but firmly. "If you want to help heal this family, start by respecting my boundaries." By the end of that evening, a new understanding had been reached. I would attend the wedding as a regular guest. I would be civil but not pretend to be overjoyed. And most importantly, my feelings were finally acknowledged as valid. The wedding day itself was less difficult than I had imagined. I arrived just before the ceremony, sat with cousins who understood my situation, and left during the reception after congratulating my parents. I did not give a toast or pose for family photos beyond one quick shot with my parents. It was enough. The unexpected outcome was the support I received from relatives who had witnessed how I handled the situation with dignity despite the circumstances. My Uncle James pulled me aside at one point and said, "Standing up for yourself without tearing others down takes real strength. I am proud of you." 2 weeks after the wedding, Jake reached out to meet for coffee. Our conversation was awkward but necessary. Not a full reconciliation, but perhaps the first step toward a different kind of relationship in the future. One built on honesty and respect rather than blind loyalty. "I do not expect you to forgive me," he said, as we were leaving. "But I am genuinely sorry, not just for what we did, but for expecting you to be okay with it on our timeline." Sophia attempted her own private apology via email, but it still contained justifications and excuses. I responded briefly, wishing her well, but making it clear that we would never be friends. The most meaningful conversation came from my mother, who visited me alone one rainy afternoon, 6 months after the wedding. She brought no wedding albums, no forced cheerfulness, just a genuine apology. "I failed you," she admitted. "I was so focused on keeping the peace that I never acknowledged your pain. I am sorry, Corbett. Truly sorry." That simple acknowledgement healed something in me that I had not realized was still broken. Today, a year since that fateful family dinner where I stood my ground, things have changed significantly. I am in a relationship with someone who values loyalty as much as I do. Family gatherings have a different dynamic now, one where conflicting feelings can exist without someone rushing to paper over them with fake harmony. I have learned that healing does not mean forgetting or pretending the hurt never happened. It means building a life where that hurt no longer controls your choices. It means establishing boundaries based on self-respect rather than others' expectations. The most valuable lesson from this entire ordeal: family should be where you find the most acceptance, not where you are asked to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. True family, whether by blood or by choice, respects your boundaries and validates your experiences rather than dismissing them. So, if you are dealing with family members who expect you to sacrifice your well-being for their comfort, remember you are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support means everything as we navigate these complex family situations together. Thank you for listening, and remember, your feelings are valid, even when others cannot understand them.